Millions of dollars in relentless development. Months of absolute secrecy inside the wind tunnels. All of it leading to this exact, highly anticipated moment. But for McLaren's Oscar Piastri, the 2026 engineering revolution began with absolute, heartbreaking devastation. A catastrophic moment in front of his home crowd, his papaya machine severely damaged in the barriers before the formation lap even started. The hometown hero's race was over before the lights even went out. As McLaren scrambled to understand what went wrong, the rest of the grid lined up on the Albert Park asphalt, stepping into the great unknown. The 5 red lights went out in Melbourne, and Formula One officially entered the most radical, fiercely complex engineering era in its history. Instantly, the difference was clear. The cars launched off the line with a completely different sound, the raw, guttural roar of internal combustion, without the MG muffling the exhaust. Through the chaotic first 2 laps, the racing dynamics proved to be entirely unpredictable. Drivers wrestled with the completely new aerodynamic profiles, testing the limits of grip on cold tires. The cars darted around the track, visibly smaller, undeniably more nervous, and brutally unforgiving. This wasn't just the first race of the season. It was a high-speed survival test. When the checkered flag finally dropped on this chaotic opening round, one team proved they had decoded the 2026 rulebook faster and better than anyone else. Mercedes delivered a crushing, flawless 1-2 finish that stunned the paddock. George Russell, now the established leader of the team, crossed the line to take a commanding victory. And right behind him was his brilliant rookie teammate, Kimi Antonelli, securing a podium in a phenomenal display of raw talent. The Silver Arrows are officially back on top, sending a massive, chilling warning to the rest of the grid. They didn't just win. They dominated. Welcome to everything of little. If you want to understand the extreme engineering secrets behind this new era of Formula One, hit that subscribe button right now. Let's decode the 2026 revolution. While Mercedes celebrated their masterclass, the reigning champions faced the harsh, unforgiving reality of these new machines. Red Bull Racing experienced a brutal roller coaster of emotions. Ishaq Hadjar suffered a heartbreaking mechanical DNF, highlighting the extreme fragility of this brand new electrical technology. Yet Max Verstappen delivered an absolute masterclass in damage limitation. Starting all the way down in 20th place after a disastrous qualifying session, the Dutchman violently and surgically carved his way through the field. Pushing the RB22 to its absolute breaking point, he managed to finish an incredible 6th. The raw pace of the Red Bull is undeniably lethal, but the margin for error has been reduced to absolute 0. To truly understand the terrifying pace we saw in Australia, you have to look closely at the wings. After 15 years of dominating overtaking strategies, the traditional drag reduction system, the DRS, is officially dead. The FIA tore up the rulebook and replaced it with a fully integrated, highly intelligent Active Aerodynamics system. Both the front and rear wings now move dynamically in unison, completely changing the aerodynamic profile of the car twice per lap. Approaching a heavy braking zone, the system triggers Z mode. The front and rear flaps snap closed, generating a massive immediate spike in downforce. This sticks the car to the apex, allowing drivers to carry unbelievable speed through the corners. But the moment the driver hits the throttle on the straights, the car transforms into X mode. The wings flatten out, stalling the aerodynamic drag almost entirely. It effectively turns the car into a low-drag missile, essential for reaching top speeds with the new engine regulations. But active wings aren't enough. To compensate for the heavy new power units, the cars themselves were forced onto a severe engineering diet. They are officially 30 kilograms lighter than the previous generation. They are 10 centimeters narrower, and the wheelbase has been significantly shortened by 20 centimeters. These dimensional shifts make the cars look much more compact, but more importantly, they make them immensely more agile, twitchy, and aggressively difficult to drive on the absolute limit. Underneath the chassis, the dark art of aerodynamics has also changed. The floor regulations have been heavily restricted. The massive ground effect downforce previously generated by the floor has been reduced, forcing the cars to rely much more heavily on the new Active Aero wings to stay planted to the asphalt. This crucial reduction in underbody aero is specifically designed to minimize turbulent, dirty air, allowing cars to follow each other closer than ever before. It completely changes the dynamic of wheel-to-wheel combat. With the new aerodynamic philosophy in place, the biggest tactical weapon a driver now holds is the manual override. Because of the massive increase in electrical capability, drivers now have access to highly specialized boost and overtake modes. This isn't just a simple push-to-pass button. It allows them to deploy a massive spike of electrical energy to aggressively attack a rival or defend their position on the long straights. However, this energy is strictly limited. Drivers must carefully manage their recharge cycles, harvesting kinetic energy in the heavy braking zones to fill the battery back up. It is no longer just about driving fast. It is a high-speed game of chess at 350 kilometers per hour. A driver must constantly balance their battery deployment against their aerodynamic drag, making split-second decisions that can win or lose a race. The heart of the beast has undergone a total, unprecedented revolution. The hyper-complex and incredibly expensive MGU-H system, the technology that harvested energy from the exhaust gases, has been removed entirely from the sport. To replace that massive loss of energy, the kinetic motor generator, the MGU-K, has been supercharged. It now produces a staggering 350 kilowatts of electrical power. For the very first time in Formula One history, the power output is a perfect 50/50ths split between electric energy and the internal combustion engine. And crucially, that combustion engine now runs entirely on 100% sustainable drop-in fuel. No new carbon is added to the atmosphere. Formula One is no longer just an entertainment spectacle. It is the fastest, most extreme zero-carbon fuel laboratory on the planet, driving technology that will directly impact the road cars of tomorrow. With these lighter, vastly more agile cars and massive spikes of electrical deployment, safety standards had to evolve dramatically to protect the drivers. The 2026 chassis features a beefed-up, two-stage front impact structure designed to absorb significantly more energy during a crash. Furthermore, the side intrusion protection has been heavily reinforced. While the halo remains the ultimate visible shield, the carbon fiber survival self has been strengthened to ensure drivers can walk away from the unique, violent forces generated by these incredibly fast new machines. The masterminds behind the grid knew exactly what was at stake the moment the 2026 rulebook was published. During the highly anticipated Mercedes launch, team principal Toto Wolff stood beside their new challenger with an aura of absolute conviction. In his interviews, his body language said it all. The team from Brackley poured every single resource, every hour of wind tunnel time, into exploiting the Active Aero regulations. Wolff knew that to return to the absolute pinnacle of the sport, they couldn't just build a fast car. They had to build an intelligent one. A design philosophy focused heavily on mechanical balance, extreme aerodynamic efficiency, and seamless integration of the massive new 350 kilowatt electric motor. Mercedes didn't just adapt to the new era. They sought to redefine it. For George Russell and Kimi Antonelli, standing in front of the new W17 wasn't just a traditional PR exercise. It was the chilling realization that they finally had a championship-contending weapon in their hands. As they discussed the car under the studio lights, you could see the shift in dynamic. George Russell is now the undisputed leader of this team, the veteran guiding the silver arrows into the unknown. And beside him, Kimi Antonelli, the young prodigy carrying the weight of massive expectations. Analyzing the aggressive, completely redesigned side pods, the incredibly tight packaging at the rear where the MGU-H used to sit, and the complex mechanics of the new Z-mode front wing, both drivers knew the W17 was a masterpiece of modern engineering. They spoke about the simulator data, the relentless testing, and the sheer physical demand of driving a car that is 30 kilograms lighter, but infinitely more nervous. Their dominant, flawless 1-2 finish in Melbourne proved that their winter confidence was completely justified. They haven't just set the benchmark for 2026. They have thrown down a gauntlet to the rest of the world. But if there is one team capable of answering that challenge, it is the legendary team from Maranello. The threat from Ferrari is perhaps the most dangerous and potent it has been in a decade. Desperate to avenge a bitterly disappointing fourth-place finish in the 2025 Constructors' Championship, Ferrari unveiled a radical, breathtaking, and deeply aggressive interpretation of the new rules. The launch of the SF26 wasn't just a car reveal. It was a declaration of war. The prancing horse is hungry, and the entire nation of Italy expects nothing less than absolute perfection. During the crucial pre-season testing phase, Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton pushed the SF26 to its absolute limits, exploring the very edge of the new Active Aerodynamics. Lewis Hamilton, now entering his second highly anticipated season in Ferrari Red, looks completely dialed in. The transition period is over. Now, the sole focus is securing that elusive, record-breaking 8th World Championship. And across the garage, Charles Leclerc brings raw, unfiltered qualifying speed that is perfectly suited to extracting maximum downforce from the new Z-mode. The chemistry between the veteran 7-time world champion and the Monegasque prodigy is undeniable. Watching them share critical feedback from the cockpit, comparing telemetry data, and discussing how the car behaves when the X-mode deploys on the straights reveals a team completely united in its mission. They are no longer just drivers. They are the ultimate co-developers of this Italian beast. By working flawlessly together, they refined a setup that secured a very strong 3rd and 4th place finish in Australia. Ferrari has built a machine that can fight on all fronts, and the Scuderia is very much hunting for the ultimate prize. While the historic teams battled at the front, the 2026 grid also welcomed a brand new automotive titan. Taking full control over the old sober operation, Audi officially made its factory debut in Formula One. The German manufacturer arrived with serious intent, immense financial backing, and a striking new livery that commanded attention under the Melbourne lights. And they delivered immediately. Breaking into the midfield in this complex new era is incredibly difficult. But rookie Gabriel Bortoleto drove a remarkably mature, highly calculated race to score hard-fought points in their very first Grand Prix, finishing 9th. Audi hasn't entered Formula One just to participate or to sell road cars. They are laying the meticulous, long-term groundwork to become world champions. Asterisk for McLaren. However, the dawn of 2026 is already proving to be a massive test of resilience and character. Looking back at their factory launch, Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri stood before a papaya machine that represents a terribly steep learning curve. The new Active Aero regulations completely reset the momentum they had brilliantly built over the last few years. You could see the intense focus, and perhaps a slight apprehension, as the two drivers analyzed the new front wing mechanics and the dramatically altered airflow structures. Lando Norris has grown into a formidable team leader, but even his experience couldn't prevent the Australian Grand Prix from becoming a brutal wake-up call. The weekend was plagued by setup struggles as they tried to find the sweet spot between Z-mode grip and X-mode top speed. And then, the ultimate heartbreak, Oscar Piastri's devastating pre-race incident, leaving Lando to fight a lonely battle to secure 5th place. It was a weekend that tested the spirit of the entire garage. But Formula One is a development war. If there is one team on the grid that has proven it knows how to aggressively upgrade a car mid-season, overcome aerodynamic hurdles, and fight their way back to the very front of the grid, it is the team from Woking. They may have stumbled at the starting line, but they are absolutely not out of this fight. And finally, we must look at the giants from Milton Keynes. Red Bull Racing entered 2026, facing perhaps their biggest challenge in recent history. The RB22 is a radical, visually striking departure from their previous championship-winning concepts. During the team's winter launch, Max Verstappen's focus was razor-sharp. Standing beside the significantly narrower chassis, he knew that relying on raw speed alone isn't going to be enough in this new era. This championship requires absolute perfection in electrical energy management, flawlessly timed tactical overrides, and a deep understanding of the active aerodynamics. His body language during the launch spoke volumes. He is a driver preparing for a relentless war. And his performance in Melbourne proved exactly why he is a multi-time world champion. Following a disastrous qualifying session that left him 20th on the grid, Verstappen delivered an incredible, aggressive recovery drive. He wrestled the twitchy RB22 through the field to secure a phenomenal 6th-place finish, proving the car possesses lethal race pace. However, with his teammate Ishaq Hadjar suffering a mechanical DNF, the ultimate challenge for Red Bull is clear. They must find the reliability and consistency required to fight for the title amidst this unprecedented engineering chaos. Asterisk as we look at the entire grid. The class of 2026 stands on the precipice of the unknown. 20 of the best drivers in the world. 10 relentlessly driven teams. One entirely new, fiercely complex rulebook. The internal combustion engine perfectly balanced with pure electric fury. The absolute death of DRS, and the birth of active aerodynamics. The 2026 Formula One season is poised to be the most unpredictable, physically demanding, and technologically advanced championship in the history of motorsport. The development war has just begun. Asterisk, who do you think has built the ultimate weapon for this new era? Drop your championship predictions in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Everything But Little, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a deep dive into the world of F1 engineering. See you at the next video.